And they're a bit like children too. People say that, what are heiteki about? Well, they're about a lot of different things, but most people can tell you that nobody's really quite sure what they are. But they do seem to have a fetal character. And so I printed them at a size that was kind of the same as small children. And I tried to treat them like it was a portrait. So you address the being, or you address the object, or you address the numinous qualities and the ethereal qualities and the affective qualities that seem to be encouraged when you're regarding them. Whether those properties are actually in the object or are springing from the person or the relationship between the two of them, I don't know. And everybody will tell you something different about that too. And it's once again contested in a good way. It's open, who knows. So for me, sometimes I feel it's in the object, sometimes I feel it's in me. Maybe it's if there's cellular memory, which is another very interested area of is it metaphysical or is it scientific? Is it both? So those are the kind of qualities that I regard and I try to encourage into the photograph. Then if I can feel it, and if I feel that I've somehow managed to instill that property or those numinous qualities into the photograph, then I think that it's likely that you'll feel them, or you'll feel something, but what you'll feel is going to be completely yours. But at the same time, there's a kind of a commonality of experience as humans which will kind of transcend certain kind of cultural expressions that we have as humans. So, but at the same time, that cultural particularity is somehow magnified by that larger manifestation of kind of collective human experience. So, and I don't think that's really probably changed at all. I mean, it's a bit like sex. I think it was the same in the Stone Age that it was in medieval time, and exactly the same as it now. And I think babies have kind of been pushed out the same way forever. So I tend to think that those kind of qualities too, we can it is a sensible thing to consider that they are going to be the same now. So those are the other things that, in relation to babies too, those are the type of qualities that I think I'm trying to express and share with you, and to encourage in you, and to aggravate, or to it's just effect, isn't it? Whatever those effects are, I think that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that kind of, it's a kind of river of effect or experience that flows between us and is resident in the object, and that's Maori. That's called Maori. So it's that, though I can't, as a kind of in a philosophic way, see any meaning in the world that transcends the rationality or the physicality of the world, and so things behave in the way that they should because that's the way they behave, and I mean scientifically and mathematically as well. There is still something that eludes me, but it eludes me through meaning rather than through lack of meaning. So I'm kind of, as I said, I'm not an animist and I'm not a nihilist, but photography continues to confound me and fascinate me, and it's been a romance since I realised that you could take photographs. And I actually have to thank Anne Noble for that. If you have a look at her work, it's around on the other side there, isn't it? She was ahead of me when I got to art school, and I went to be a painter, and I saw her Nighthawk series and just fell in love with photography. And I've got Ginny here. She was at art school with me. Fantastic painter, fantastic poet. So people like that who were ahead of me at art school really inspired me too. And that those meanings and those moments of epiphany that I kind of experienced as a student in front of other artists' works that I love, they're still the same for me today too. So a good experience isn't really superseded, or that type of feeling of revelation or epiphany, which is something that interests me greatly from psychiatry. You know, James Joyce was a great writer of epiphany. He saw himself as a collector of those moments that we all have. You know, as this, you know, the sun might come out from behind a cloud and you look across the bay and there's a bird or there's some people doing something and suddenly you have a feeling of clarity and revelation, and it's something trivial. But that's the fantastic thing about being human, is that we find meaning in the most humble places. And I think that's another thing that New Zealand art in general is aware of, because we are that kind of film noir, Pacific noir place. And so I don't know that you couldn't call these Heiteki Gothic, but this is an interesting one. There's many Heiteki. Heiteki in general, you think, Māori had Heiteki, that was great, they all had them, I wish I had one. But in fact, a lot of Māori didn't have them, and a lot of Māori weren't even good at carving them. And you know, it was a highly stratified society, and so some people had them, some people had them passed down, some people could only admire them from afar. And this one here, I love the ones that look like modernist art. You find them that this one was probably carved by a prisoner, a Parihaka prisoner from the North Island that was who was arrested and taken to the South Island to dig some of the roads in Dunedin. And he probably made that when he was like holed up. They were stuck in caves with big gates over the front of them. And I think he was carved down there. So you often see carvings like this that could almost be folk or naive. They could be carved by Māori, but they could also be carved by Pākehā. And even though we don't have any, I mean, the ones here are all right royal and you know, culturally infused and, you know, beautiful Heiteki, but this one's a kind of atypical one for that reason. If you have a look on the website for my work, you'll see that there's lots of different Heiteki that I've kind of found in different little museums and photographed that are like Brancusi sculptures, or, you know, look like a modernist architect's made one.